Hi, and welcome to H&D Abroad. I'm Herman.
And I'm Dee. Thank you so much for joining our live or choosing to watch us in the future. Our channel is all about helping couples, Black couples, to think about moving abroad as their plan A for having a healthier lifestyle and building generational wealth. So if that is your jam,
Please
please
subscribe
hit that like button
and please share. Let others
absolutely.
know about us, that we're here. We'd love to share this experience with everyone.
Absolutely. We go live every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central. So today I have invited some friends that um, moving abroad and love is something people regularly ask. I have known DeAndra since she was a graduate student at my alma mater, the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And just watching her journey, I'm super excited to bring she and Alex on today to talk about their journey of not only moving abroad, but also falling in love and what happened next.
All right, so
So,
let's bring them on. Everybody, welcome Alex and DeAndra. How you doing? Great to have you
Everybody,
on with us.
thank you for having us.
Absolutely, good to see you.
all
It's
right.
it's a pleasure for me to meet you because my wife has been talking about you for a century. He's been talking about your stories forever. So it's a great opportunity to meet you and to hear your story today. And we're looking forward to this conversation.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, Deandra, I guess we can start with like, what was, everybody has that decision point where, you can kind of go through the paces of living. You were in graduate school, you were kind of in the mix with your public health degree, and then you decided, or Peace Corps. Like
Mhm.
what how did you make that shift or change?
So I've always had a little bit of wanderlust, always, and I take that back. I attributed a lot of it to my dad and upbringing. Like he liked to read encyclopedias and watch Discovery. Like that was our thing to sit and watch tribal stuff on Discovery Channel and talk about Egypt and all these things. So I was really exposed to it through him because he loved reading. Um, and because of that, it was just always innate in me. And while I was in graduate, when I was applying for graduate school, I actually applied for Peace Corps twice. I was working in UAB radiology, and I was thinking about, well, what I want to do next. And I looked at Peace Corps, and I actually applied for Ethiopia. But at the time, I got into graduate school at the same time, like I was accepted into a program. And once I got in that program, I remember talking to Dr. Hannah Budwani, who was in the School of Public Health, a global health certificate. And she's the one who's like, you know what, you should be a doula. Because I had taken a maternal and child health course, in that program. And I was like, I love this. I wanted to know more about women's health on the international level. And she's the one who said, we need more Black doulas. Like this was in 2015, like so long ago. And she said, yeah, we need Black lactation consultants too. Like this is a thing. I think you should look into it. So I'm in school. I got introduced to that through her, fell in love with it, but that desire to want to travel more did not leave. So through that program, I went to um, Kingston, Jamaica. I spent some time there interning through a program called E for Life, which is for young people living with HIV. Well, not young people, but women living with HIV
Hmm.
who are also experience abuse and other things. It's a wonderful organization. And I had also been to Kenya. So because some people say, oh, you just need to scratch that itch. I would scratch it and it wouldn't go away. It would not, it still hadn't gone away. I'm in Alabama, but it's not gone. Trust me, we'll get to that. So I talked with my professor, another professor more over the program in the School of Education, and she just thought it was awesome. So there were very few people who thought me joining the Peace Corps was awesome. But if I'm talking to somebody who's over a program and they're like, just take a break, this will be invaluable to you. You can come back and pick up courses. So that was the validation I needed.
Hmm.
And after doing my research, I saw that Rwanda was a safe place because you always hear about the genocide, but actually Rwanda is one of the most safest maybe still rated the safest country in Africa. I took the leap. And as far as love is concerned, I don't want to jump ahead of you. I was super single, beyond single. Single, stage, celibate, that whole lifestyle. Like, oh my God. So I was like, I ain't never getting married. I just decided in myself, this, I love it. I'm going to pursue purpose. I'm going. And in my mind, I was putting Peace Corp was the nail in the casket for my love life.
And that is, okay, y'all, I'm telling y'all, I watched this happen in real time. So we are both doulas and we trained with the same organization. And so she was like, I'm a new doula. And I was just like, yes, doulas in public health. We need more doulas with public health background. And then when you were saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing some international work, I was just like, imagine what you could bring back with you or to give, because you have so many tools. And so, I was, so she's out there saying, I'm single, I'm not, I have things here, but I'm willing to take a chance and invite life to life, for my, let's see, so I want a life with life. So, just rolling with it and not necessarily, I didn't see just from the outside that you were going looking for. And that's why the title that we chose was Love Found Me, because you were really just digging deeper into yourself, into your passions, into your drive, and just watching it unfold. I mean, I was just like, so do you have to have language skills? So you want to give a little bit of blurb about the Peace Corps itself and like what you felt made your, I guess this is your second go round, more successful than the first time that you had applied?
Yeah, so Peace Corps was founded under John F. Kennedy. I don't know the exact year, but he was the president at the time. So just a little bit of brief history. Peace Corps has 3 goals. First, to bring skilled workers for whatever they're needing is education, health, agriculture, all these things. And then the culture exchange. Me bring their culture, they share their culture with us, and then we come back home and tell everybody about it. So that's Peace Corps in a nutshell. And also the public health portion of it. It really makes you understand structure, health systems, and what it looks like when people don't, disparities, real, not that our disparities aren't real, like disparities on another level. Like, how does this look? They say, oh, just go here, you can do X, Y, Z. Well, they got to walk to reach there, and translating that into the U.S. health system and say, oh, you missed your appointment. Well, they didn't have a ride, and the bus don't go to where they are. So I don't know if I answered your question before I get off into some other stuff, but that's the blurb about
Peace Corps.
How long were you aware how long you were going to be there?
I was. It's a 27-month commitment.
Oh wow. Okay, so you were relocating for
Absolutely
2 years.
Yeah, this was not a field trip. This was the real, which goes back to that putting the nail, like this is it. But I had to do it.
And that's important. That's important to identify because there are people taking long-term vacations, and in that long-term vacations, there's they're snatching up a little somebody, and that's become a whole controversy online. You were there for a committed work period to do work for 2 years. So you literally relocated to another continent. You left your family and friends to do work. That's important to know. That's an important piece, that 27 months.
Yeah. So let's see. So
I'm getting a little bit of feedback from you all.
You're getting some feedback?
We're getting some feedback. I don't know if it's us.
All the way. Okay.
I'll try to see if I can clear it up. Keep going.
Can you tell us about your cultural adjustment?
Okay. I remember what you were asking me now. So during that time, the first 3 months, we live in the outskirts of the capital city, and we live with host families. So that host family, it takes us in like their own children. Even doesn't matter the age. because you really do have to start off like we babies. We have to learn how to find food, how to ask for food, how to cook, how to wash clothes by hand. All day training for 3 months, cultural exchange, language test is pretty intense, and you're completely dependent on your family and your cohort. You rely on each other. So a day would start, I would get up, I go somewhere 8 a.m. I'm there learning about culture, do's and don'ts, because again, like you mentioned, this isn't a quick extended vacation. We will be located in remote villages. So what goes on in the capital city and in the outskirts, the culture is completely different from wherever you're going.
Oh, wow.
So you need to know what you're doing, what to say, what not to say, how not to get hurt, how not to get robbed. Robbed as in people taking your money because you Uri Mzungu, you are Mzungu. That's the foreigner, that's the white person. Even if you're black, it's like
that
this
part.
way.
That
right.
part.
So that's what that looks like, and you graduate. If you graduate, then you are placed in your permanent residence for the remainder of the time. And so when everybody was nervous and where will I be, and I ended up being in one of the remote places, like a 7-hour bus ride from the capital. And there would be I recall some people crying, but me, I just had this overwhelming peace because I knew what I had asked for. I was like, I want to be safe. I want it to be beautiful, which it was absolutely beautiful. And a few other things. So I was like, if I got to be 7 hours away, then I guess that's my spot. Okay. They dropped me off with my mattress and that was it.
You shared those bus rides, girl. I mean, we were like, you were a champion.
It was terrible.
It is, a lot of people think, maybe language is going to be not as much of an issue because people speak English, but that distinction that you made about city living and rural living is important for people to think about. But also, like, I'm a Black American going to a predominantly Black place. I'm going to fit in. And it's not that direct one-to-one. And because I hear a lot of people say, that's the reason why they're going, and that there should be some awareness of what your Americanism brings. Something you shared on your page that I want to ask if you want to talk about was the perception in public health, especially when in international health, is who generally gets those opportunities is not necessarily Black people of color. I think I remember from your post that someone asked you about why you were there in relationship to your white counterparts. Why were you, why did you feel like you were questioned about your place there?
That's, man. So I think the initial story, which is still very important, is I was actually in America, and I don't know how we need to edit this, but I'm going to quote this person. I was doing like a local mission, and it sparked some of the things. But the person said, "You a nigga? What you doing here with these white folks?" Excuse my language, but this is what he said. And so it was always innately, when there's a need and there's a need and it shows up and it looks like you, why is that foreign? And it also translated there, I'm here providing something, but there were times where it seemed like what I was bringing wasn't as valuable as my white counterpart, because that's who they saw doing the humanitarian work, who had something that could help them, whether it be knowledge, money, or resources. Very rarely do those faces that show up look like you and I, or look like them. And that could be due to exposure, lack of knowledge on our part, or you share, we're afraid to go. And I would always tell my friends, hey, why don't you invest in something or travel, because I don't know if it's a big secret, but everybody else is there. You don't see African Americans, but everybody else is there from all over the world. It's like, why? I have some theories on why that is, where that disconnect came from.
Come on with it. Come on with it.
You know, I working in international research, there's a lot of dollars, and who gets the opportunity to go from the team? Even if you raise your hand, you're not necessarily always the person that's chosen. I know that was my experience, you know, just in working in HIV. But people are afraid to go from Birmingham to Montgomery. Like there is real fear. I'm going to be too far away from my family. So I think there's a little bit of push and pull on both of those sides. Did you want to share something?
I think it's the, again, like you said, the fear factor, and going back to that lack of exposure and being in those spaces where maybe we aren't chosen or given those opportunities. I think we need to do a better job as people of paving that way, or not being a trailblazer when we do see those spots. Because I used all my vacation time when I was a student to go to Kingston. A lot of times it's not an easy process. You have to really be the one to blaze that trail and make some sort of sacrifice. Unfortunately, unfortunately, it is that way. And I was in a situation where I was able to. I was still single. I didn't have any kids. It's like, whatever. I eat oodles and noodles to make this happen, and that's what I that's what I ended up having to do. On the research end, I'm not as sure, but I can imagine. I can imagine how that looks. Who is most qualified? Who studied epidemiology? Here I am studying community health and education, and you know, a little bit of that public health piece. I'm a doula, so that's why Peace Corp was like a perfect fit for me. But it is pretty difficult. Baby, I've talked so much. Do you want to say something?
Because I was getting ready to add Alex into the conversation as you were talking. I was thinking about how you were sharing, you know, just your mindset, but community. Alex, I mean, food is how I heard you introduced to the rest of us. She was losing a little bit of weight because she was walking. She was trying to, you know, she was talking about, I'm going to the market and they trying to overcharge me, and you know, I'm learning how to cook on this little stove. And then here comes this colleague who is so helpful in helping me. I think did he bring you a chicken or something?
We ate a chicken, a few chickens, but you remember the garden in the back, and you were like, anytime you need something, come.
Yeah.
That's what she's talking about. I was like, who is this man? Like, come pick from my garden. I was so hungry.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about it. You can brag a little bit.
What was at your PCV house?
Yeah. So we work together. He's actually a nurse there. So I saw him in passing or whatever, and I wanted to hang out. And then one of the nurses who's really responsible for kind of pushing us together, I was going to ask a female because of cultural reasons, and I didn't want to be the village hussy. But she was like, no, ask Alexi. Y'all come to my house for dinner. So she made Alexi come pick me up. We took motos to her house, and we had dinner on a Sunday. But after that, you know, like you said, I was losing weight. I was still learning the places to buy food. I didn't feel, well, I did feel hungry. I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I did feel hungry. And there was a garden in the back. You want to talk about that? And you and Dodos were there, and Passy. And really, you know what? Tell the perception, because you didn't think I needed food. You thought I was good. I was suffering.
And I don't know where to start, but thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me here, you know, to talk about different stuff. Anyway, yeah, is a very different to see, to live, to meet and to live with somebody from a different country. The image where, like, those Rwanda, let me say Rwanda, we think about America, is like America is a people that they are very rich.
That's the
Are
perception.
rich. People are rich. They have a lot of money. You know. Yes, I should say we're rich and white. And when they say somebody, even if there is something we say in Rwanda, when somebody has money, say you are umuzungu, you are white. This is what people say. Anyway, now to see somebody, it don't matter you are black, you are white, you come to Rwanda, and it was our first time to meet the black PCVs. So it don't matter, you're white, you have money, you're white. So that's why people were thinking she doesn't need anything, because when you have money, you have everything. And nobody could invite her, hey, to the house, or you need help, or I can do this to help you. No, you don't need this help because you have money. You can do everything for yourself. So talk about the yard we have. It was a house for the health center where all PCVs used to live. So I was living there with another PCV that was. Yeah, it was a PCV that she replaced. So I was living. He was a guy who was living in the same house, but the house was divided into two parts. So I was living in one part, and he was living in another part. So when he finished his contract, so she came. So she kicked me out of the house. So she said she cannot. she cannot live in the house with a man that she doesn't know.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, I heard it's a man that somebody needs to handle that. He gotta go. So I ended up putting him out of his house, and that poor little garden was actually his. And he started.
Yeah. So it was my garden, and I started over. We plant some carrots, some vegetables, and we call them dodo. So after I kicked it off the house, I left the yard too. So when she came, there was a yard there, and she had to live with another lab technician who took my place in the house. She was a female, so two females in the same house. But she took over the yard. I mean, the lab technician, she took over the yard, and now people coming to take vegetables from the yard freely. Like now it belongs to nobody, and there is Umuzungu here who don't need these vegetables. So let's go. These are free vegetables, free food.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you say, let me invite her to some food?
So the perceptions of need affects the interaction culturally between the different people. So you as an American, in an African space, they see well, you don't need this, so we can take this. So they made it harder for you by taking the things away.
Absolutely. And I want to say that it was not malicious. It wasn't malicious, and also it's regional, because where I live is separated by a rainforest. So it's really isolated. It's closer to Congo, more so. So, in certain areas, it can be a little bit different. So they rarely saw even Black Americans, whereas some other people, they knew more. So it was really a lot more remote. So it's not the whole country, but I was in a remote spot, a big border of a rainforest. And so, there were different perceptions. He knew more because he had shared their home with someone, and they were really good friends, which was to my benefit. But going back to that, absolutely, there's that perception that, oh, she's good. It was like a year before somebody asked me, a good friend at the health center asked me if I was hungry. This was at the peak of my weight loss. So it took her that long in getting to know me to say, I wonder if she needs something.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what, Alex, what made you step in? What was the transition that you said, let me offer some help, some how did you recognize, offer support?
Let me. The guy I mentioned before, when he was about to leave Rwanda, he told me, "Hey, we will have a new PCV, and she will be a female." And remember how to behave with an American female.
Okay.
So try to give some privacy. Don't ask so many questions. You know, try to be. Don't try to be involved a lot in her life. Try to give space. And I did for a couple months. I was, learning her, watching her, and following my friend advice. But I was watching her, and other people was getting on her nerve. But me, I didn't do anything like to hurt her feelings.
Right.
So when I started stepping, talking to her, asking her, "Hey, do you need help?" Is where she saw, this man may be different. He's different. But I had somebody behind me. So that's where I remember our first time I invited her to have a drink.
Oh, our date after Adele.
Yes.
Yeah, we went to the bar.
Yes. But there's the nurse who I used to work with. She's the one who she loved DeAndra. She loved her, and she needed to communicate with her. She was telling her to come to ask me. Hey, go to ask Alexi. He's the one who can help you. Also, I was helping the nurse to translate so she can communicate better with DeAndra.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So, and helping her to communicate with my coworker, that's where we started being closer.
Yeah. So our whole program, and I had a counterpart, but Alex would step up and help more so. So I began to lean on him and say, "Hey, I'm doing a training on colostrum. We're doing a simple lesson on breastfeeding. Can you come?" I would pull him, from the other side of the clinic, say, "Can you come step in and translate?" And Adele was the nurse, our friend. She didn't speak as much English as Alex did. So it was like, and I think she knew what she was doing a little bit. So I would end up requesting more help from him, and I felt comfortable enough because I was really leery. Like, they give you this training, like, man, I don't want anything to happen to me. So, but at that point, I felt comfortable enough to say, yeah, you can go to the bar, and it's better. I wanted to go, but it looks better if you go with somebody than by myself as a woman.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question. Alex, are you originally from Rwanda, or were you on location also?
Yes, I'm originally from Rwanda, and close to the area where she came.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was maybe like 5 miles from there.
Okay. Let's see. First of all, let's take a quick second to recognize some of the people in the chat. I see Evelyn Gold, and make sure I say hello to everybody. Golden Heart, Zakia Miller. She's laughing because she said that they gave you a mattress, and she said you got lucky because you got a mattress. Rita Fraz.
Yeah.
Let's see. We just got a question from Michelle.
Yeah.
When did you both know that this is it? And she is the one. I guess they're running us forward. What was the shift? So you kind of been hanging out. You kind of started becoming.
I know that Alex attended a birth or something with you. I remember that as a part of the story too.
Yeah. So I'll go first, then you can. I don't know when it was for you. I always forget. But like I said, we were friends. We were building a friendship. Actually, that first date, I was like, I like this dude. Like, I like him for real. I like him. We sat there for hours. I like him. Actually, I said, this is gonna be my husband. Real talk. That's what I said. Like, I think he's the one. But I wasn't sure. I'm just talking or whatever. But as it built, there was a mom delivering. I was attending. Somebody let me come in, and he assisted this mom in birth because the nurses on staff also serve as midwives. So if a midwife is not there, Alex would be there for the birth. And I was able to come. They invited me. And so I was trying to find the words to say, push, like getting people to give me terms to tell this mom to support her in the role as a doula, because I was telling them about it. And watching how he worked with the moms, the respect that the patients had for him, how he handled them. Everybody didn't, even those who were more experienced didn't handle those moms the same way. So, you know, when you go to, you know, an appointment, they had a stirrups you put your feet in. That's the same kind of thing, but older. So these moms are hopping up on this table. Can you imagine just the conditions? So seeing how he worked, he didn't push too hard. He didn't pull the umbilical cord. Just the way he served those moms and how gentle he was with his patients. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we were that. There are a lot of doulas on her page, and we were rooting for you, Alex, from there. I was like, what I told my husband was, she found what did I say? A mid-husband. She found a mid-husband. So, you know, the work brings people together, but finding things in common with each other, finding out that you're passionate about certain things. And you get to, you know, when you're in those different environments, when it's stressful, relaxed, you can really see who a person is. So I'm looking at this.
I know all these ladies on here, so I'm gonna throw a question in here while she's pulling it to it. Because ladies want to know, Alex, how'd you make the transitional move? What was the move in that said
From
moving from friendship to I need to express my interest?
What was the transition, or what was it that made you say, okay, she's a nice friend, but I want more. I love this person. I want to be with her. What made you?
What made me is being together or spending more time with her. She was asking me, who am I?
Mm.
Who am I? Trying to ask me my interest,
Mm-hmm.
who I want to be, or what I want to be. What is my life purpose?
Yeah.
That was what made me think, this person is different.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. This is, was the female who asked me kind of serious questions, who show the real interest in me. And the way, men would be hearing different stuff, say, this is somebody who can ask a kind of question, this person is special. This is what made me think, this somebody this really special. And this is what took my attention.
You said a whole mouthful, my man. You said a whole mouthful. I hope people are taking notes. And those little points of knowing that you matter as a person, as a man, that you matter as a person, not what your potential is, not what your capabilities are. Who are you? What do you want from life? What are you doing with your life? And if somebody expressing interest in that, 30 years. 30 years.
Yeah, y'all been together that long.
Since we were 19 years old. We've been married for 24 years. So. And she regularly still asks me, what you doing with yourself? Where you going? What you doing? And that is a motivation to help me feel boosted to keep my personal interest in life, which makes me continue to be a new and interesting person. So I feel you completely, Alex. I understand that.
Yes. So she would share little tidbits, of relationships. She would, things that you would do, little things you would, share with her, the little nicey things. And then you planned out this beautiful engagement party. And I mean, that I think was one of the videos that that you sent to us. So you've got this beautiful budding life. She said yes. You're getting married. And I was like, okay, so are they going to get married there? Is she coming back home? Like, it had been quite a while because I don't think I knew it was 27 months. So you all had a civil ceremony and a religious ceremony, bringing the families together.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I was about to say, because I could hear being through the mother-in-law experience, the father-in-law experience. That's a whole other cultural thing. How did you navigate that, DeAndra?
I got so lucky. I'm so blessed because I love my in-laws. They are so sweet. Like, I really thought, oh, this, Rwandan mother, how is this gonna work? Even with meeting her, like I had met her well in advance. Alex planned a dinner, his siblings, all of us translated. And anyway, after mustering up the language to say, I love your son, he's a good man, da 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 da. And she, she looked at me after we finished, because she didn't speak any English, and she gave the thumbs up. And she did like this. So they are really, really sweet. As far as the wedding, that was all, this is all my boy. I wanted a small 50 people, like 50 people, 200 at least. And, whoever just shows up, which is a cultural, wedding crashing is a cultural thing. And I gave him a lot of pushback on it. I ain't want it. I was like, this, but understanding more now in the value of it that it holds in his heart and the family. Like, we are a real couple. Not to say people who don't do it this way, but it was really honoring what's important to him and for his family. Because I was like, let's, we can get married real quick and go to Paris and spend a month there. That's what I wanted. I didn't even have to have a wedding. Oh, my boy, he planned it all. I ain't speak much other language, so other people, he rallied up people to help me. My now sister-in-law would go in town and translate for me to tell people what I want what I needed for the wedding. My biggest task was getting my family there, communicating with everybody, via social media that was back home. But the wedding and all the details, that was all Alex. Wow. So we had when you start telling your community, because you date in secret a little bit. Because once you tell people you engaged, they say, when the wedding? Otherwise, you look like, again, a hussy. Because you can't be in a relationship too long before you get married. Everybody say, oh, you having sex. Y'all been engaged. How long? When the wedding? You wait until you tell everybody for planning. So we announced to everybody. We had a little party at work. Then the civil wedding, the legal marriage, which was live. I lost that live. God, I should have done something like StreamYard. The religious wedding at the church, and then the village party after. And we got married here in the States. So, like, how many times I got to marry you?
One of the questions, let's see. So I know you sent out an invitation for a lot of us to join. This is a question that someone might ask about feeling welcome. So Alex, do you want to answer, how would a 71-year-old be received when visiting Rwanda?
When a 71 years old visits Rwanda, you will be welcomed. Yeah, maybe Rwanda, they are working on customer care service. They make sure they serve some people. You feel welcomed.
Wow. Would it be different for men, or a man or a woman? Is there a difference in feeling welcome?
It will be different. Yeah, we still working on gender balance. Men, they still on high consideration than women. And the women, they still somehow feel like somebody can take advantage of her,
right,
financially, and to abuse, not to abuse is a stronger word, but like to try to take advantage of her body.
Mm-hmm.
A 74-year-old person?
Yeah, still. Yeah.
That's important. That's important to know, because safety is a regular question when people are traveling abroad, and it has been a constant question when people are visiting Africa. Will I be safe? Will I be taken advantage of? Will I be respected? And that's valuable to know, because I think a lot of Black women are traveling solo around the world, which is wonderful. And everybody views safety different. Well, I can look out for myself doing this. I can look out for myself doing that. How would you recommend that if a person in that situation, how would they find themselves be safer in that environment with those possibilities?
I would recommend to have somebody with you who protect you, translate for you, and to pay the person, to give a little tip. Then you say, hey, your job is to protect me, and I will pay you. Make sure I want this, and they do this.
Now, when we say protect, that's a little bit different, because you can't have handguns there. Like you can't, like that kind of security. No, the government only. They don't play that. So we'll see armed soldiers, throughout. Even where I was in town, I was seeing. So when he say somebody to protect you, what I think you're saying, and you correct me if I'm wrong, someone to look out for you, to say, hey, watch out for this. We're together. To translate, Gabonya, to say, reduce that price. Like, I'm from here, don't play. That's not the price, and we know it. So just having somebody look out for you. Is that what you mean when you say security?
Yes.
Because in America, security is completely, it's safer there than it is in America. So that's why I'm like, tell the people what you need now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I noticed, is that in those differences, those words like protection and security, because of where we come from, as African Americans, sound different and look different. I hear constantly people say, whenever they're traveling abroad, I'm safer. But we hear things that translate to danger to us here because of our experience here. And we'll come back to that conversation, because I'm going to ask some questions to you in a minute, Alex, in that transition, about how that looks different for you once you transition here. So before we go there, so you get married, you're getting things started. How did you make a decision to move together back to the States?
Okay, so this is simple. We were coming here to visit. I had no intentions to move back here, period. Point blank, period. I wanted to stay there. I was like, we can move in the city, we can raise kids there, and all these other considerations. We came here, and blessed be God, we were pregnant. So we found out, we were pregnant with Jolie. So we were gonna stay like a month or two. We were gonna stay maximum 3 months on the tourist visa. We had a tourist visa. All of that came here. It's like, ooh, or whatever. But we pregnant. What are we gonna do? And he and I talked about it. It was so stressful. Like, talk with my parents. We having family meetings, trying to make the best decision. And ultimately, it worked out. We decided, let's go ahead, see what this process looks like to change. Your current visa, is that even a thing? And because we were married, like full on, anybody could see we had an actual relationship. It wasn't questioned, and that we're pregnant. So I had to show that I was indeed, pregnant. And because of COVID, all those things we reflect on it now, like it had to be that way, because we would have been there during the pandemic.
I was gonna say, you guys got married in 2019, so that was, you all came back just before the world closed, probably months before that. So, I mean, having had the living abroad experience, one of the questions that has come in the chat is, would you consider moving back? You know, Alex, I know you've done a few things, you know, medically related where you are. You know, your work still relates to the healthcare field, and both of you all are working in healthcare. Does it, when you have two children, your mind gets focused on different things? Do you think that living outside of the US will ever be a part of your consideration at some point in the future? Either
Yeah.
back to Rwanda or somewhere else?
Absolutely.
I don't, I'm not sure I want to raise children here, especially a little black boy. So that's still on the table. We really need to pin down a timeline and say, what do we want to accomplish here? How much money we want to save here? What can we be doing there as far as buying land, which is still on the table for our family? Yeah, in short, yeah, we do want to go back. It never left me, which is what I was saying earlier. Like, I still got that itch. I still know what, you know, I felt healthier there. People can be children, like kids can be kids. I felt more feminine there, which is a whole nother topic in itself. Like, for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, this is nice. And then when I came back, just a rush into here come this hustle and bustle again. Yeah, I was living a soft life over there. Even though I was washing clothes by hand and cooking all those things, I really felt like I was in a space where I was living this soft life. So yeah, we do want to go back.
The conversation about raising young black boys has been consistent in conversations we've had since we've started our channel. Various couples that we've had. A lot of the we're moving or we moved or we're hoping to move has to do with sons, and the struggle that young black men have had in this country, especially recently. You know, we shared with some people recently. Our two youngest are boys, and they are 21 and 18. You can just imagine every time they walk out of the house, there's a deep breaths are taken until they walk back in the house. And if they say, hey, I'm staying out a couple of days because, you know, they're adults and they come and go as they need to, we hold our breath for many days at a time. And that is something that we desire to have that experience stop, for so many people to stop fighting that internal fear. So let's transition a little bit with that in mind. Alex, we were talking a minute ago about safety, about protection. You grew up in a different environment. You grew up with a different background. You now live in the southern region of America, which for Black men has been a challenge for centuries now. What is the experience for you? Because technically this is a two-part a move abroad relocation kind of story. DeAndra relocated to Rwanda, and you relocated here, and you relocated to the deep south. How has that experience been for you as a Black man and a culturally diverse Black man where you live?
This is the biggest challenge, of course, I ever experienced. Moving to United States from the place where I was raised freely, and come here as a new married man who has a responsibility on a female, and to come to an unsafe place where I was learning. It was so hard. I feel, being honest, I felt like to take me and put me in the bag to cover me. But I can see what is going on outside, which is bad. So I felt not safe. I felt not safe, and not feel, I didn't feel free. I felt, like it was overwhelmed to me, say, oh, I'm ready to go back home.
Mm.
But I was so lucky to be with DeAndra, who helped me a lot. That I appreciate so much. That any other people don't have a chance to have somebody who help them to, hey, a black man don't do this. If you do this, you can get killed, or you can go to jail. And I remember we used to have like a problem or conflict because I was saying, you cannot, nobody have ever to stop me from doing this. Why are you, stopping me from doing this? So no, I'm free. I can do this. I can take my bike and drive in the neighborhood. I can go to the store. I can do whatever I want. But she was telling me, hey, be careful. Because you can get killed, you can get raped. Somebody can
maybe not rape, but so I'm sorry, go ahead, baby.
Yeah, we can, somebody can take you, can miss you.
And we oh man, what we were when we came, because we came to visit, let's not forget, we were at my parents' house initially. So where my parents lived at the time was not the best neighborhood. It could be 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. Pow, pow, pow. Baby, I know you want to go bike riding, but this ain't the neighborhood to do that. And we did have a lot of conflict. One time there was an Uber. Oh man, I was so upset. We called an Uber to come get us, and it was in the evening. And so my name was in the account, but Alex went out to meet the driver. And the driver started rolling up. It was a Asian gentleman. And Alex was like trying to pull the thing and like, hey, stop. I said, don't ever. That man could have pulled a gun out and shot you instead. He was offending himself. He was afraid. So those kind of nuances trying to explain. I know over there, I was Umuzungu, Umuzungu, whatever. But here, nobody cares that you from Rwanda. Nobody cares you different. You look like me. We the same. And we in the deep south. So it was a lot. Even talking about it is bringing up a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot to come in this, let me say, safe place. Now you come to where almost everything is a problem. You have to be careful for everything. So that was a lot on me. Like even I remember, I feel like the safest place to be is just being home.
Wow, yeah.
Any other place, no. And it's different. Back home, back in Rwanda, to be home is being lonely. You have to be out, walking, hanging out, to enjoy life.
Many guests coming to your house unannounced. You always have people around. Yeah. Always have community, like a literal village. Like, hey, if you go out of your house, somebody saw it. Somebody looking out for you. And then here to not even have that. I know it's a big culture. Culture side. So when people say things like, "Oh, well, they need things in green card," baby, we ain't trying to spread to stay here. I'm trying to get let's get through this living here. Let's, we gonna make it, baby. No.
Yeah. As a people, community is always big to us, no matter where we're from, no matter what part of the diaspora we're from. Community is big to us. And this is one of the few places where Black men gathering together is a threat. And so we've lost connection with each other as men. I don't have any friends. And I don't mean that negatively. My friends that, we talk about, we go and we hanging out. I'll be 50 this year, but this 30-year-old face that everybody keeps assuming that I have, when I go out, I'm a 30-year-old Black man. And me hanging out with other men, I'm a threat. And so grouping up with the guys and going out and hanging out is not a comfortable idea. And when I say I miss it desperately, I miss it desperately. And it is one of my desires for the Move Abroad process is to regain some community. I had a panel conversation with Black men a few weeks ago, and that conversation with guys on screen was uplifting because I was in a conversation. We were just guys on it, but we had to be on the screen to be safe.
Yeah.
So Alex, I want to apologize to you for that you had to experience that. That is that you've had to find a way to adjust through that. So with that in mind, how have you adjusted? What has been your adaptation process? How have you adapted?
I think I want to say you don't have to apologize, because I think it was a good thing so I can know my partner, my wife, to know what is inside her, what she experienced, the way she comes from. Also, for our future generations to have a package of what I can say to them, or what I can show them, or what I can give to my children, my grandkids. So now, what back to what you're asking, what has been changed, or how I adjust is to listen to my partner. Listen to my partner. As she said, when she moved to Rwanda, she had to learn to treat them like a baby. I had to humble myself to learn basic stuff and to grow in that environment. That's the only made me comfortable, me being adjusted to this culture, to this country, is to learn the basic stuff and to grow and to listen to my partner. And I remember my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, who was close to me in the time, and every time I have something I want to know, I asked him, my father-in-law, hey, Daddy, I want to know this. What about this? What about this? You know how the little boy be asking questions, Dad? Hey, Daddy, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. That's why I got comfortable being here. I'm not good 100% yet, but this is what the package I have right now, this is where I came from.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
You have two beautiful babies.
Thank you.
A lot about life changes when you have children. And DeAndra, I can hear in your voice the urgency, not just because you want to be in a different place, but your why has expanded for your entire family. And so I am so proud. So we are so honored to have you in this space to share your love story, to share the adjustments that you all made for each other in the process. So if you guys can share, because the questions we get are you all moving to Africa? And what country are you interested in? So that was the first question DeAndra asked me. She was like, so have you all decided where you're going? And I said, my husband wants to go to Rwanda. So if you were going to encourage someone to consider Rwanda as their soft landing, their place that feels like home, can you share why you're passionate about your home country, Alex, and then DeAndra?
Can you go first? I want her to go first, especially she's the one who experienced it. Then I can add more.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fair.
So as an expat, I'm all for Rwanda. It's okay. So Rwanda is very organized, and I'm biased. I know some people in the chat, maybe they are from some RPCVs or whatever. I'm biased for Rwanda. Very well organized. The government, they do not play. So if you like structure, Rwanda is your place. It's beautiful. It's clean. And that's a standard, African standard. Cleanliness is an African standard anyway. But if you look at Kigali, like Kigali is a super clean, safe, safe, reflecting on America. You have petty theft. That's the biggest thing, like that sort of thing. But shootings and all of that, welcoming, people are welcoming. It won't be the same experience you may get, let's say, in West Africa. But here in Rwanda and East Africa, it is still very welcoming to outsiders. It's a lot more quiet. If you like nature, it's your spot. If you want to have like a laid back vibe, family vibe, Rwanda is the spot. So those are my top things. Very respectful of women, more so than I would say some other places. Still working on it. Patriarchy is a thing. Yep. But compared to other places in the world, no. And the person who was like, if you were 71, you would get a lot of questions if they say, you here by yourself? You single? Otherwise, they would just respect you as umuchetu. That's the old woman. Like, okay, I know that sounds ugly, but that's what it translates as. Say, oh, this is an elder. This is, she's going about her business. Now, if they start asking you stuff, people get nosy. That's where it's like, oh. So I just want to add that, but I'm all for Rwanda. So why would you tell people to go to
Rwanda? I'm not too far what she said, because there is something Rwandans we have that we don't think is a nice stuff we have.
Yeah.
Until you go somewhere, you say, oh, I miss that. So that's something that somebody need in a life. So the first thing that we make Rwanda, me, I'm from there, of course, is my first home, but somebody to consider as the second home is the safety. Is very, very safe. Imagine being a place you feel like nobody can hurt you. Wow. It's the safest place I want to be, because the weapon, nobody think about weapon. When you are in a group of people, you never think somebody can come here and shoot, or somebody can have a knife. You don't think about a crime. No. This is the only thing that will make me. You can walk in the night, go anywhere you want. Nobody will stop you here. Where are you going? And when somebody stops you, those are the security, especially in the night. The people are walking around the night. We will call them security guard.
Yeah.
You're walking around, you meet people, they stop you here. What's your name? My name is Alexi. Where are you going? I'm going, let me say, to Hoover. Show me your ID. You show the ID. Okay, go ahead, safe journey. Then you continue. So another thing that will make me move to Rwanda is life. Life is easier. Life is easier. You can get what you want, whatever you want, and cheap. And when I say that, I can be more specific. Is about food and housing. Yes, food and housing. You get what you want and on the best price. Yes, and we have, and also if you want to raise a kid, we have the schools like international schools that you can raise your kids for. They give on the international standard education.
Yep.
Yes, these are the good things I can say. Maybe I will wait for the question for negative side.
Well, let's see. So, DeAndra, you shared on your page there's a day of remembrance for the genocide. And I can't uncouple what Americans know Rwanda for the most. But what you showed in your post about how they're dealing with a situation that was so just the horror of people losing their life and how the country is working through that and showing the world that we can work through our issues. Did you want to share a little bit about that, both you and Alex? But I remember that post in particular because I knew where Rwanda was in the world because the dean of our school was a public health nurse there for decades and showed us the pictures during the genocide. So that tells you how old we are. We were in college during the genocide. She was going through her notebook saying, and they're gone, and they're gone, and they're gone, and they're gone. And so all I had was a heaviness about this beautiful country you were showing us. And then your post about the Day of Remembrance. Go ahead.
So, and you'll expound more on it, but it's more than a day. It's pretty much for weeks, and Alice can give more in depth on the history of how that looks. But it's an acknowledgement of what happened. This is a time because people are a lot more conservative, and you may not see a lot of emotion. That's a cultural thing that's there. But this is a time where you'll probably see some emotion, a lot of emotion, where we're talking about the people we lost, how it happened, heavy on the history, which is something we don't do here. Like, let's talk about, colonization and how they contributed heavy, almost all to what happened there. And just going over it every year throughout those seasons to remember the history, for the elders to share with the young people, and for them to talk about how to not allow this to happen again. And me just being a fly on the wall, being invited into those spaces to hear the history and to see it and to be with people who may be crying or it's heavy. But also to see how far that the nation has come. You would not know if they behave, sometimes how we in America, like, oh, they're just kind of sweeping under the rug. You would not know. Unless someone say, oh yeah, this was so and so, we lost them. Oh, wow. And otherwise you wouldn't know. So it's really a sacred time that they hold dearly. I hold dearly. This is also a part of my life. It's a part of my children's life. They need to know it. And if nothing else, as a lesson to say, hey, this is how it happened. How do you see that? A lesson I intend to do. How do you see that translating in American politics and government? Because it's insidious how you refer to people, how you dehumanize. Oh, they're not this, they're that, and it just makes it easier to hate people. It makes it easier for something like that to happen. So it was a lot. Always remarkable. I always respect that sacred that time because it's a lot. And Alex, you can share as much as you're comfortable with, because how old were you?
I was 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, during the genocide, I was 5. I didn't know what was going on. If the 5 years boy don't know what is going on, really. But after I grow up, when I was being older, is where I saw traumatized people when they were building the memorial site, taking people's bodies in the hall, in the people in the yard, in the toilet. Is where I began knowing more about genocide. And when I grew up teaching schools, being people whose moms, dad, and siblings was killed, is where I learned more genocide. So back to the day of commemoration, which is in April from April 7th to April 14th, the evening of 15th. Yeah. So it's a very serious period in Rwanda because it's where we remember how what is genocide, how genocide happened, how it's be prepared, who did the genocide, why they did it, how people who escaped genocide are living right now, and what is the government is doing to against anything that can bring again genocide, like genocide ideology. So, and the way we do, make sure every Rwandans and everybody who live in Rwanda and abroad know about what happened, so it don't happen to anywhere else. I remember there is a speech our president said. He always talk about that in the Jewish was killed, and the UN said genocide will never happen again. But in '94, genocide happened in Rwanda.
That's right.
So it can happen. It can happen somewhere. So we need to talk about it so it don't happen. And especially in Rwanda, we don't want this to happen again because it was the biggest loss of the country. So, and in the commemoration period, the entire week, we shut down, we don't play the normal music. We don't play music. We have the commemoration songs talk about genocide. This is what we play on the radio stations. You can on the social medias. You don't do anything for entertainment. No, we just focus on the genocide. Yes, no games, no sport, no shows, no. And all bars and market stores, when the hours we close, so we can go to the dialogues where people they come to speak about genocide. And you must go there, you must respect. If you don't go there, hey, you have something in your mind, and we don't want those ideology. You need to get your ideology need to get off your mind. Because genocide is something we don't play with. Because we know how bad it is. So this is what I can say about genocide and the commemoration of genocide.
We are really honored that you guys were willing to share your story with us. Moving abroad is, people have different reasons for doing it. I think one that is very central to us is to be a part of a culture, to understand it. And that means, things that the culture that we're entering, what they are most proud of, whether it's revolution or, overcoming colonization, or that that they're dealing with the truth of what could have destroyed their country, their culture, and how they're building back. And so embracing, all parts of the places where we're considering going are important. You all watching your love story made me fall in love. So when he said, I'm looking at Rwanda, I was just like, yeah. Yeah, this could be a place for us. So there's so many thank yous in our chat for you all sharing your story as well. I think I saw Anita, who planned all of the beautiful things, whether it was inviting us to your wedding or to the bridal showers or the baby showers. I want to say thank you to all of your supporters that have joined us today, to our subscribers, to people who are joining us on the replay. Please, send your kind words and encouragement or thoughts about what you learned in during today's session about Rwanda. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for sharing your very personal story on a public platform and shared not just your love story, but the benefits and challenges of for you all dual
Move
abroad story. It's so good meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much. It's an honor.
To all of our listeners and viewers now and in the future, we thank you for being with us today on Aging D Abroad. I'm Herman.
I'm Dee. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.